find out that this was trying to sacrifice my son. Everybody keeps coming for my child. And now this witch says she's going to sacrifice him to her voodoo idols.
Apparently, Beyoncé is being accused again of doing black magic. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Everybody ain't lying. I spent probably a week doing research on all the people that they were connected with, and all of them are connected to some sort of black magic, some sort of witchery, okay?
The internet is spiraling into chaos again. And this time, the drama is so explosive, even longtime industry insiders are calling it career-ending territory. Overnight, social media lit up with whispers that Nicki Minaj has taken her feud with the Carters to a level nobody saw coming, allegedly accusing Beyoncé of targeting her son, Papa Bear. Fans are stunned, the industry is tense, and every hour unveils a new layer of messy, mysterious, and downright unbelievable claims. Is this the biggest celebrity misunderstanding of the year? Or has Nicki crossed a line she can't come back from? Let's break down how this feud went from subtle shade to a full-blown storm shaking the entire entertainment world. The internet is in full meltdown mode right now because rumors are flying that Nicki Minaj has leveled one of the most explosive accusations the music world has seen in years, and the name at the center of it is Beyoncé. Overnight, social media lit up with claims that Nicki believes something dark is unfolding behind the scenes, and that her own son, Papa Bear, is somehow caught in the middle of a silent feud that fans didn't even realize had escalated this far. People are stunned, the industry is whispering, and nobody can figure out how the situation spiraled this fast or why the tension suddenly feels so personal. What sparked this? Why now? And why does every new detail make this story sound even stranger than the last? Trust me, the surface-level drama is wild, but what's bubbling underneath is even crazier. To understand how things got this intense, you have to rewind a few years because the tension between Nicki Minaj and the Carters didn't appear out of thin air. It's been simmering quietly in the background, with little flare-ups that fans clocked long before this latest explosion. For a while, it was all subtle. Songs people thought contained coded shade, interviews where the energy felt just a little too icy, and industry whispers that the relationship between Nicki and Jay-Z's camp wasn't exactly warm. Then came the incidents that really shifted the vibe. The tweets where Nicki publicly accused Roc Nation of trying to undermine her, the moments where fans thought she was responding to Beyoncé's lyrics, the award show tension, and the social media comments that seemed harmless at first, but later looked like early warning signs. Every time something happened, people shrugged it off until it happened again. Fast forward to this year, and those little moments suddenly started hitting a lot harder. Nicki name-dropping the Carters on social media. Beyoncé staying silent, but fans noting the timing of her posts. Solange popping up with that mysterious imagery that the internet immediately interpreted as a message. And then Nicki's heated online rants, the ones where she dragged multiple people at once, sparked a fresh wave of speculation that the behind-the-scenes drama had officially crossed into public territory. What used to feel like petty tension now feels like a pressure cooker no one realized was as close to bursting, and everything that happened over the past few months suddenly looks like the build-up to the mess we're watching unfold right now. Everything truly exploded the moment Nicki Minaj dropped a cluster of tweets that the internet immediately interpreted as direct shots at the Carters. And that's where the feud snapped from quiet tension into full-blown chaos. It started when Nicki, in the middle of one of her viral late-night online rants, made comments that fans believed were aimed at Jay-Z and his inner circle. The tweets weren't subtle, and even though she never mentioned Beyoncé or Jay-Z by name in some of them, the timing, the wording, and the energy were enough for people to connect the dots. Within minutes, screenshots were everywhere, hashtags were trending, and everyone was asking the same question. Why is Nicki bringing their family into this? The moment that really sent shockwaves was when Nicki made a remark that viewers interpreted as referencing the Carter children. Again, she didn't confirm who she meant, but the internet didn't hesitate to fill in the blanks. That single implication, whether intentional or not, instantly raised the stakes. Anything involving family moves a feud from petty industry drama into dangerous territory, and fans knew it. The Carters have a long history of handling family matters privately and fiercely, and whispers started circulating that Jay-Z, according to unverified reports and online speculation, was no longer ignoring it and allegedly considering taking the situation beyond social media. From that tweet on, the conversation shifted. This was no longer about shade, lyrics, or cryptic posts. This was about children, reputation, and the possibility of legal lines being crossed. Commentators online began debating whether a defamation battle could be brewing, whether the Carters would respond publicly, or whether Beyoncé would maintain her signature silence while letting her team handle things behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Nicki's fanbase insisted she was being misunderstood, while others argued she was pushing boundaries that could come back harder than she expected. And just like that, what had been a simmering celebrity Cold War turned into the internet's latest obsession, all because of one moment, one implication, and one tweet that took the feud from industry rumor to everyone buckle up. And once the feud reignited, the internet did what it always does. It started digging. Suddenly, timelines were flooded with screenshots, old clips, resurfaced interviews, random fan theories, and that classic connect-the-dots detective work that only social media can pull off. Within hours, people were dragging up every piece of possible tension between Nicki and the Carters from the last decade, turning the entire situation into a digital scrapbook of alleged shade. One of the first things to resurface was that clip of Nicki on livestream from years ago, the one fans have always debated. Some said she sounded frustrated about the industry. Others insisted she was indirectly referencing Roc Nation's influence. No one could agree, which only made it juicier. Then, screenshots of old tweets started circulating again, with fans pointing to moments where Nicki seemed to be venting about deals, favors, or behind-the-scenes decisions that people believed involved Jay-Z's camp. None of it was proven, but the internet didn't care. They were building a narrative brick by brick. And of course, the music receipts came next. Fans dragged up lyrics from both sides, arguing over who shaded who first. Beyoncé's line on Savage Remix, Nicki's verse on Say So, Beyoncé's cowboy-era visuals, Nicki's recent side-eye emojis. Suddenly, every song, every caption, every award show moment looked like a clue in a feud people weren't even sure existed until this week. Then came the resurfaced interviews from other artists. Again, not about Beyoncé or Nicki directly, but quotes that fans reinterpreted in the context of this drama. You know how it goes. Someone mentions feeling blocked. Someone else mentions industry politics. And suddenly the comment sections are convinced they were talking about Roc Nation. It didn't matter that none of it was confirmed. The rumors had already taken on a life of their own. And the wildest part? Every hour, a new receipt showed up. A blurry screenshot. A 5-second clip with dramatic captions. A random anonymous account claiming to be an insider. Social media was practically foaming at the mouth, trying to piece together a puzzle that might not even have all its pieces. But one thing was clear. The internet had decided the feud was real. And now, it was rewriting the entire history of both artists to make the story make sense. But here's the thing. This situation doesn't feel like the usual celebrity back and forth. This moment is different, bigger, heavier, and everyone can sense it. First, the involvement of children, even indirectly, instantly escalates the stakes. Social media can brush off shady lyrics or subliminal tweets, but anything that even sounds like it touches family territory sets off alarm bells. Fans on all sides immediately shifted into protective mode, and that alone changed the tone of the conversation from petty to dangerous. Then there's the elephant in the room, the whispers of possible legal action. Nothing confirmed, nothing official, just online chatter. But even the idea of lawsuits swirling around adds a level of seriousness gossip rarely reaches. People aren't just talking about shade anymore. They're talking about potential consequences, boundaries, and what counts as too far. And of course, Beyoncé's silence only makes everything more intense. Everybody knows she doesn't respond publicly to drama. She moves in silence, which fuels speculation. When Beyoncé says nothing, people assume everything. And that silence becomes a character in the story all by itself. Plus, Solange. The internet has long treated Solange as the unofficial enforcer of the Carter family brand. And when fans notice certain posts, timing, and symbolism, whether coincidental or not, that was enough to set off a fresh wave of theory crafting. Again, nothing confirmed. Nothing said directly. But to the internet, even a silent post from Solange feels like a plot twist. All of this together makes the feud feel less like entertainment and more like a moment that could genuinely shift the dynamic of some of the most powerful forces in music. And the fact that it's happening publicly in real time has the entire industry watching with wide eyes. The reactions have been split right down the middle, and that division is feeding the wildfire. Commentary pages, podcasters, YouTubers, and anonymous industry accounts are weighing in nonstop, and every take seems to pull the story in a different direction. On one side are the people saying Nicki is finally speaking on things others have been too scared to touch. They argue she's been hinting at industry pressure for years, and that this moment is her breaking point. The moment she stops sugarcoating anything. These fans believe she's exposing something deeper, something structural, something everyone knows, but no one discusses publicly. On the other side are the people saying she's spiraling, reaching, or letting emotion push her into moves that could genuinely backfire. They point to the timing, the wording, the chaos of the tweets, and argue she's creating a feud with people who haven't acknowledged her in years. To them, this isn't bravery, it's self-sabotage. Industry insiders are publicly keeping it classy, but the tone of their comments says a lot. Some are calling for peace, some are emphasizing how protected the Carters are, and some are saying they hope Nicki gets surrounded by the right people. Others are barely hiding their fascination, dropping cryptic one-liners in interviews that only pour gasoline on the fire. And through all of this, the public can't look away. Every post becomes a clue. Every silence becomes suspicious. Every emoji becomes evidence. It's the kind of story that blurs the line between gossip and mythology because nobody knows what's really going on, but everyone has a theory. Now the million-dollar question, what does each side really stand to lose? Because behind the memes, the theories, and the chaos, there's a much more serious layer, one that fans online are suddenly paying very close attention to. For Nicki, if the rumors are true and the Carters are even considering getting lawyers involved, and again, that's online speculation, nothing confirmed, that could put Nicki in a dangerous position. She's built an entire legacy on being unfiltered, unapologetic, and brutally honest. But that same honesty can cross lines that the industry takes very seriously. Fans worry that if she keeps pushing forward with these loaded comments, she risks burning bridges with some of the most influential people in the business, damaging her relationships with major brands or platforms, getting entangled in a legal fight that drains time, money, and public goodwill. Nicki's supporters say she's standing her ground. Critics say she's risking everything. And both sides know this. If the situation tilts the wrong way, the fallout won't be small. For the Carters, meanwhile, have a different kind of risk, not based on money or influence, but on image and control. Their entire empire is built on privacy, polish, and power. They almost never get dragged into public drama, and when they do, they shut it down fast. So when someone as visible as Nicki appears to take aim at their family, even indirectly, fans say it forces the Carters into a position they don't like. Do they respond and legitimize the feud, or stay silent and let rumors run wild? Neither option is perfect. Public silence keeps them classy, but it also gives the internet room to twist the story. A public response could settle everything or open the door to even more chaos. Why this feud is dangerous. When you combine Nicki's raw honesty, the Carter family's ironclad branding, sensitive topics like children and legal boundaries, you get a feud that can't just be laughed off or ignored. The stakes aren't petty anymore. They're legacy level, brand level, and potentially lawyer level. At this point, the internet is running wild with theories, some believable, some completely unhinged, and some that sound like they were written on a whiteboard by a detective who hasn't slept in 3 days. But let's separate what's internet speculation from what's actually documented. Theories, unverified, fan-generated, or rumored. The theory that Nicki was directly calling out the Carters. Again, she never named anyone. That's purely fan interpretation. Claims that Jay-Z is preparing legal action. No official documents, no announcements, just chatter from commentary pages. Rumors that Solange posted symbolism aimed at Nicki, unproven, just timing and fan imagination working overtime. Speculation that the industry is choosing sides, mostly anonymous accounts claiming insider knowledge. These theories keep the story spicy, but none of them are concrete. Reality, what has actually happened? Nicki did post the tweets. That part is factual. The content is public. Fans, media accounts, and commentary pages responded instantly, interpreting the tweets as shade. Past interviews and clips have resurfaced, but the context is being reinterpreted, not officially tied to Beyoncé or Jay-Z. The Carters have made no public statements, no confirmations, no denials, just silence. So right now, the story is built on a mix of real events and internet imagination, and the line between the two gets blurrier by the hour. And honestly, that's exactly why the feud feels so electrifying. Nobody knows what's real anymore. And now we've reached the part everyone is waiting for. What happens next? Because whether you're Team Nicki, Team Carter, or Team just here for the drama, one thing's obvious, something is coming. Is legal action coming? Some fans say yes. Some say no. Nothing official has been announced, but the mere possibility hangs over the situation like a storm cloud. If anything legal happens, this feud shifts from entertainment to a headline-making event. Will someone speak publicly? Nicki might. She has before. The Carters probably won't. But their silence is almost louder than any statement they could make. If Beyoncé or Jay-Z ever break that silence, even subtly, it will shake the entire internet. Is this feud escalating or collapsing? Right now, it could go either way. One more tweet from Nicki could light everything back on fire. One quiet, strategic move from the Carters could freeze the entire situation. Or both sides could simply stop. Let the internet tire itself out. But as it stands, the clock is ticking and everyone can feel it. Final question for the audience. Is Nicki sounding the alarm on something bigger? Or is she poking the wrong empire at the wrong time? Because depending on how this ends, someone's legacy is about to change, and the world is watching in real time.